And welcome to the 2022 Motor Muster here at Greenfield Village. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. The weather couldn't be better for this event. Right now we're looking at a bunch of Mopars here. And so this is the pass-through, or we'll call it the park-through. I'm going to start at the front row and give a little history of some of the cars. So over on the right side, you're going to see a Sublime 1970 Superbird. And this was Plymouth's attempt at using aerodynamics in NASCAR. Of course, the only thing was that they had to homologate these vehicles, which meant that they had to offer them for sale to everyone. So that it was not a unique car. So all the Plymouth dealers got one of these cars, or at least were built one. These cars at the time were not real well received by the driving public. They did well on the track, but today they're quite the piece, quite an outrageous piece. This one's owned by Harry Allert, and he's the original owner. And this car's been restored over a 2.5-year period. And right now, he just loves driving his car. The next car in the middle is a 1967 Dodge Coronet Rt. And that's owned by Kent Wallace. And Kent's had it quite a while. And it's a product of a 6-year restoration. It's an excellent car. It's very rare to have a RT convertible. On the right is Betty Young. She's been here before, but she's driving a Go Mango Plymouth Aar Cuda. These cars were built for SCCA racing, so they had the Plymouth Aar and they had the Dodge TA, a Dodge Challenger TA. And again, the cars had to be homologated, so there were only a certain amount built. I believe in the case of the AAR, it was something like 2,300 of them were out there. And this is a new acquisition by Betty. And, you know, this design is something that John Hurlitz, who was the head of styling at Chrysler in those days, this was one of his cars. So it's a great car, and they enjoy driving it. You can't hear me out there? Can you hear me now? I'm here? Okay, now can you hear me? All right. I see that Spartan t-shirt back there, a friendly face. On the right, we've got a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner, and that's owned by Jeffrey Gore. He's had the car 6 years, and it kind of has sentimental value because it was a car he used to date his wife in. I hope that's a good thing. In the middle, we've got the oldest car here, and I think it's driven by one of the oldest people here. Michael Burke of Quincy, Michigan, and Linda, his spouse. And they've owned this car since 1984. It's a Chrysler 300F. It's probably one of the most unique letter series cars. It has the 413 Cross Ram in it. And this car has been driven thousands of miles. They go to California, Florida, Maine, basically wherever they feel like it, they get in and drive it. And other than a noisy axle that blew out after 150,000 miles, the car's been pretty trouble-free. Left side, we've got a petty blue 1972 Charger Rally 340 owned by Mark Young. And he's had the car only for about 3 months, but he likes these late generation Chargers. And this color is probably the most identifiable of blue that Chrysler made in those years. So enjoy the car, Mark. On the right side, we've got a 1972 orange Roadrunner owned by Jeffrey Gore. He's had the car about 3 years, and the reason they got one was because they had one when they were young. I don't know how long ago that was, but I'm assuming a while back. So they basically use the car for car shows and parades. In the middle, we've got a 1960 Chrysler New Yorker. This is owned by Gary Runkle. He's had the car 19 years. And he chose this car because couldn't afford a 300F. So he downgraded to a New Yorker. The car has recently undergone a brake job, and he's very happy that he's able to drive it here without crunching anyone. One more flip of the paper here. On the left, we've got a 1968 Dodge Charger. This car is kind of a rare combination here. It's red with the maroon interior. This is owned by Shadi Baidoon. See, I got that right. It only took 3 times to practice. He fully restored the car, and it took about 3 years. It's kind of unusual to see a 68 Charger. If you saw the movie Bullet, this is the one that got burned up there in the back. But it's unusual to see one without a vinyl top. I think about 90% of them were vinyl top cars. Now let's go to the Orange Dart, owned by George Sproul. Wave to the crowd, George. There we go. George has had the car about 13 years, and it's original. It's never been restored. So if you want to see a Chrysler orange peel paint job right out of the factory, that's the one to see. It's about 65,000 mile piece. It's got a 344 speed and 4-barrel, and no power brakes and steering. So it's a little bit of a chore to drive it. In the middle, we have one of the oddballs of Chrysler Corporation. There are many. It's a 1962 Dodge Polara 500 convertible. And the oddball that owns that is me, John Begian. But always wanted a car that you couldn't mistake for something else. There was a car that, a little history here. The story goes that the Chrysler execs were at a cocktail party, and Ed Cole, who was the head of General Motors, had mentioned that, gee, we're working on this, we're going to downsize the Impala in '62, and we really need to, shorten things up. So the Chrysler guy came back, Bill Newberg came back and told everybody, get rid of all the clays that were in process and destroy it because Chevy's downsizing the Impala. And there was some kind of discussion about why would they do that, and he said, I'm the boss, just do it. And so this is the result. And of course, what they heard them talking about was the 1962 Chevy 2, which was the first year. So this car then fed the drag racing effort at Chrysler because it was a light car, billed as a full size, but they could put a 413 in it and really go. On the right side, we've got a 1970 Dodge RT owned by Aaron Haloub. And that's all I know about that car. It's in burnt orange with the white vinyl top. In the middle, we have a 1964 Fury convertible by Plymouth. And this car is owned by Jim Belinda. It's finished in sandalwood, which is kind of a mauve-y color. Why did he get that? He rode in one at the Tigers World Series celebration down Michigan Avenue when people were blowing their horns and shooting shaving cream at each other. Those were the Denny McLean years. But it's a car that's pretty much all original top. And it's got a 318 V8, but the original owner was a little suspicious of automatic transmissions, so he opted for a 3-speed manual on the tree. So it's a little different. On the left, we've got Pete Papazian. Pete, wave to the crowd. There we go. This is a 68 Plymouth GTX 440. It's finished in racing green. Pete's owned this car a mere 53 years. And yes, Pete likes green. And so he's had this car for a long time. He keeps it up. He even does the drag racing out at 131 with this. So I know that Pete likes this car. And the rumor is there's some Armenian bread in the back that's there for samples later on. Let's see here. I guess we lost one car, but let me start on the left. Steve Liebenau. Tell the crowd who you are. Wave to the crowd, Steve. Okay. Steve's had this 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner 34 years. And he's always liked Roadrunners. It's had one repaint, but basically it's unrestored from that point. This is a post car, 21 series body. It's got the pillar, and then it has the swing out rear windows on it. It's unusual in that it's red. In those years, there was a lot of earth tone colors, and so it's kind of unusual to see this. In the middle, we have a 1969 Dodge Super B. Now this is owned by Steve Cool, and aren't you supposed to be at the plant, Steve? Or did you clock in? Or okay. This car's he's had this 29 years. I remember seeing it before he had it restored. It was a really neat car, original car, and he's done a great job with the restoration. And you'll see this at Woodward and Downriver Cruise and all over. Steve is not afraid to drive it. And on the right, we have a 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda. This is owned by Bob Karkashian. He's had the car 40 years. This is kind of an interesting car. It's a Hemi, automatic, on the column with a bench seat. So this is the kind of car you can cozy up to your loved ones and have a hell of a time driving it. He's been working on it like we all do on these cars, refining and refining. But Bob does do the racing too, and he really enjoys getting out there and burning some rubber. Rick's there. Now we're going to do the Bob and Linda Glaspy collection. So the first row and the accompanying Roadrunner behind it are part of the Glaspy collection. So Bob is the guy who gets us all together and puts all these Mopars together. So wave to the crowd, Bob. And Linda, please wave to the crowd because you get to help Bob use the computer in that. So on the right, Bob has a lemon yellow Plymouth Superbird, 444 speed. In the middle, we've got a 63 Plymouth Fury, driven by his daughter, Ann. And on the left, Linda is driving the real car, the 1970 Charger in Sublime 440 automatic. Bob's had the two outer cars, the Charger and the Superbird, for quite a while. The Charger actually is about a 30-year restoration 30 years ago. On the left here, Mr. Cool has been recruited to drive the 1969 Roadrunner, which is a Hemi automatic, and this is a recent restoration by Bob. It's finished in silver. And now we'll go on to the other people. So these are the non-celebrities. In the middle, we have John Ottino, who has a 1967 Plymouth Hemi GTX. So this was the first year of the GTX, and it was Plymouth's way of trying to revive the brand because things were getting kind of stale. As one product planner told me, they interviewed Plymouth owners in 1966, and one woman said she loved her Plymouth because it was so serene. And unfortunately, Serene doesn't sell cars. So John's owned this car 23 years. He's had a recent repaint, and you'll see John at Baker's and at various cruises through the area. On the right is another excellent restoration by Bob and Bianca Lemon. It's a 1965 Plymouth, and it has a max wedge under the hood because Bob was not satisfied with just a normal 6-cylinder engine. Bob's had the car 21 years, and it started life as a 383 4-speed, but now he's really got a power plant in it. And it's just the subject of a recent engine restoration as there's a catastrophic failure. We'll just leave it at that. Oh. And now we'll go to the next row. I can't believe I got all the paperwork here. On the right, we have Alan and Kathy Mcclure's 1963 Plymouth. They've owned the car 27 years and paid a whopping $3,000 for it. His first new car was a 64 Fury, so when he saw this, it hooked him in and he had to relive his youth. This is a subject of a 10-year restoration, and as I read through all of the issues, I can tell that he's worked on this quite a bit. Excellent job. In the middle, we have Frank Forrest, who owns a 1970s GTX Burnt Orange. So Frank's owned the car 43 years. I can't believe it. 446 pack, and this car belonged to a friend who was in the military, and he got hooked on these because it was his high school car, a 70 Roadrunner. And on the right, we have, it looks like a very young Greg Cool. This is a Belvedere, 1964. Greg got it out of Wyoming 44 years ago. And he recently restored, or he recently rebuilt the engine and transmission. And you'll always see Greg at cruises with this car. It's a very nice car. And last but not least, Steve Barth in his 1969 Plymouth Belvedere station wagon with the patina on the roof and the hood. So it's an original Survivor car. You can see Plymouth made everything from high performance to So the basic transportation. And Steve is out there driving this around, and you know, station wagons the survival rate was low, but I think he gets a lot of attention when he drives this car. So I'd like to thank you. Thanks everyone for the attention to the cars, and we'll take another 5 minutes to get situated for the next batch. Thanks and have a great day out here.